You're listening to a DM podcast.
Welcome to Over the Back Fence. I'm Di Edwards.
I'm Nicola Dale, and we're buddies of nearly 4 decades. And yes, we actually do happen to share a back fence.
We do. We love parties, people, inspirational stories, and honestly, making the most out of life.
So join us as we open our hearts, share our stories, and hear from some of the most inspirational people in the world. And have a laugh along the way.
Yeah.
Enjoy!
Wow. We just did the most amazing interview with Till Brown, who writer, producer, actress, now regenerative farmer, a remarkable woman. And, you know, we caught her at a time in her life where she was, you know, having just an emotional
She was
day.
emotional. Like started off with the tears, and there was tears throughout. And I tell you what, a lot of love and tears, especially for her dad, Bryan Brown. Too.
Yeah, well, totally.
We had tears throughout. Our producer Sam had tears throughout. But it was beautiful. You know, it was heartfelt. It was open,
Human,
and I think this is an extra special interview, really, or chat, because it's just how we are. Some days we're like that.
Over the Back Fence. It's really important for all of us to meet a family member, a friend, or you go and get, you know, counselling, whatever serves you in that moment. Reach out because it's healthy.
It is. I tell you what, raw and real, and that's what Till is. And I think that we certainly love the interview, and I'm sure you will too.
Honestly, it was like going for coffee with a girlfriend. I enjoyed every minute of it. Enjoy, guys.
Enjoy.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
Matilda. Do we call you Till, like I know your dad calls you, or do we call you Matilda? Which would you prefer?
I like Till.
Yeah, I love Till.
I feel like when you have a nickname, you just go straight to being friends.
I think
you know?
so.
That's so true, isn't it? Yeah.
It's a nice
if someone says
kind of-
Diana, I think I'm in trouble. Do you know what I mean? Mum used to say, Diana, come here, please. And I go, oh, what have I done?
Matilda. Although our children will use our first names instead of mum because we hadn't listened to them. They'll say
true.
Nicola.
Yep.
You know, Diana. You know, all of a
Yeah.
sudden then you'll go, oh, here we are.
That's actually interesting how that started is because Ryan, my eldest, used to say, Mum, I'd be calling you for 10 minutes and you wouldn't respond. And I called you Diana straight away. So it's a funny
because
thing,
kids just say mum, 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 mum all the time. That you have this inbuilt kind of block out. It's terrible.
It is interesting, that one. I mean, Mum had 8, so she must have blocked that a lot when you think about it.
Oh, my gosh.
I know. And, like, having said that, you're in the thick of it with 2 young, beautiful, as Nicola was just saying, exquisite
Cute.
children.
Absolutely so cute.
And also a gorgeous stepson too. You've got 3 going on there.
Yes.
Yeah.
You,
Very
all these modern new style families. I love it. Blended families.
families.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it's hard. It's not
yeah.
an easy one. I mean, he's a great kid, so that makes it easier. But it's definitely not something that, you know, when you first meet someone and they go, oh, I've got a son, you're like, oh, so cute. But no one ever, you know, it's such a complex relationship, you know, and being a stepmom, like it was never something that I ever thought would be as hard as it is. And not because he's not a good kid. He's such a great kid, but there's just so much complexities to a relationship where you're not the mum. Anyway, I could talk about that forever.
No,
but
I
that's
get
true.
that.
Yes.
But we're
Yeah.
Till, Dida, and Nicola, we're Northern Beaches chickaroonies. I know you've got the farm as well. Mum and Dad were living in Whale Beach, weren't they, when you were born?
Yeah. So we grew up between here and I mean, they had the farm since before I was born. So they were filming Umbrella Woman up in that area and fell in love with that country and found a little old farm shack and bought it. And it's been in the family ever since.
How beautiful.
So it really has been like a big part of our lives. And we spent every holidays there and every long weekend. And, you know, I love it. I'm so glad that it's now part of my kid's life.
Oh,
It's a similar
we
thing.
definitely want to hear more about that, but we just have to sort of, first of all, welcome you to the Back Fence. Welcome and thank you so much for joining us. We're honoured to have you
for
as part
having
of
me.
at the Back Fence. We're all in the hood, as Di said.
Yeah, and I was just driving in and my Sister Wendy said, who are you interviewing today? I said, Matilda Bryan. She goes, that's amazing. When Rachel, as in Rachel Ward, was having Matilda, I was having my daughter, and they lived just a few doors up from Mum and Dad. And she said,
Right.
oh no, we used to have prams. There was Matilda and my Bella, and she said, we still sort of chat on and off, Rachel and I. And that was just driving in the car. And I love all that community sort of connection.
Exactly.
That's what Over the Back Fence is actually why it was started too. Just drawing people together and being part of a community, and both of us sharing the back fence up in Palmy. It's like,
right.
It's beautiful.
We
And
just-
our children went to Palm Beach Kindy together.
Yeah.
And where do your
Yes.
little ones go there, or did you?
Zan goes to Palm Beach Kindy.
Oh, there we go. How
There's
cute
even
is
a
that?
teacher there that taught me.
Oh, wow.
Still.
Oh, sorry, listeners, we're getting carried away
Yeah,
with local gossip about the kindy.
But yes,
best
anyway, it
kindy
is-
in the world. It really is.
It's a beautiful kindy, and it's a beautiful area, and I'm very lucky that my husband's ex-wife was on the Northern Beaches, and that's the reason why we moved back here.
Right.
Much to my I didn't want to, because I was living with girlfriends in Marrickville, and I didn't have any people that I knew back here, like over here anymore. And my life was all over there. And I thought, that's quite a far way to go. I've got to start all over again. Anyway, ended up moving to Clareville first, and that's where I got pregnant and haven't looked back. Now we're in Whaley. Yeah.
It's funny, Till's just saying about living in Marrickville. I heard an interview. I can't remember who it was. It was yesterday, and I couldn't stop laughing. There was the planes going over. He's come to your house to interview you. It was, honestly, Nicola, it was like, and tell how
flight
about life.
path
Talking
goes
about
straight
the
over
Scott,
it.
the first conversation that I had with Scott, my husband, on his podcast.
Was
Yeah.
unbelievable. And you'd be going like this because the plane's going over. And then it was like, okay, now where were we? And then you'd get into it, and then plane going over. It was the most
can't-
incredible interview ever.
I can't listen to that interview for two reasons: the planes, and also because it was the first conversation that we'd ever had, and I think we were both like, oh, and I'm so giggly.
Yeah.
I mean, like an annoying
Till,
giggly.
I wanna hear that one.
I'm like, I can't listen to it. It's so cringy.
We want to hear about
Now, Till,
Scott.
can we? Yeah, exactly. So, with your gorgeous husband, now I've heard somewhere that I just love it that you're obviously very close to your family. But when I think you're about to go on a date with him, and you put his picture up on your family WhatsApp thing to sort of say, "Hey, I'm going out with this dude tonight. What do you think?" And tell us the responses.
I love the honesty of family.
I love that.
Yeah. So I sent them. We have a group family text, and I sent a photo of him. And when I met him, he wore these the singlets that all those Bondi guys, or any guys really with big muscles wear, where they've got like the big thing down there and you can see their arms. And he had tats all down still does have tats all down his arms. But I honestly thought he was a bit of a Bondi wanker because of that and the hairstyle that he had at the time. And I sent it to my family, and my mum wrote back, "Too many tats, no."
Typical mum, yeah.
My brother wrote back, "Looks like a Bondi wanker." My sister wrote back, "Oh, let us know how it goes," or something like that. My dad wrote back, "Oh, looks like a nice guy."
Typical Bryan.
That
Typical
is-
Bryan. Yeah.
No, I've done a bit of business with Bryan through our family business for years, and I was saying to Nicola driving in, I don't know how many people it's a real estate business, and how many people I've dealt with in 30 years. He's one of the kindest, most generous, most sincere humans to deal with. I don't care what he's done and who he is. Bryan Brown, to me, I got to meet him on another level, and I have the utmost respect for him, and I know you have the yummiest relationship with your dad.
Yeah, you'll make me cry.
Oh, don't
that's
you
so
make me
beautiful,
cry.
Di. I second that too.
But that's hearing it from the horse's mouth.
Everybody-
Now, tell me about the emotion, like in response to that feedback.
Well, I should have warned you. I'm having an emotional day.
Hey, I have them all
I've
the
already-
time lately. So
Well, it's everything that's happening. I'm gonna cry. I've been crying. all morning.
cry's good.
Yeah, you got.
We love tears
we're
because
here.
what do they say? Every tear speaks 1,000 words.
And it's best to get it out. And hey, we cry all the time, don't we?
I could be a total bitch and say it's great for the ratings.
Yeah. Hey, Till, do you know what I've got to say to you? On the car here, Di was close to tears. She had a little thing on.
Yeah.
Last time I was in tears and I
Yep.
had to put the
That's the
drops in
truth.
before coming here. We were going,
Yeah.
what's happening to us?
I
It
mean,
doesn't
everyone
matter.
sees us on Over the Back, but chatting, life's great. We try and invigorate other people, inspire others. But we're human, and we have let me tell you, down times.
I know,
And look, over the back fence is truly to be relaxed.
Yeah.
It's a chat. And tears flow. We love it because it's true. It's authentic.
It is authentic.
Yeah.
It is, and we are always in tears. It's
But if
laughter
there's
and tears.
Probably,
It's
it's probably why I came on regardless of the fact that I'd been crying, because I was like, I don't think they'll judge me for it if I start crying.
No, not
that's
at all.
what
We
it's
love
all
you
about.
even more because you're just real and authentic, and it's beautiful.
Is
Probably-
there something you want to share, or is it just
No,
life
quite
in
honestly,
general?
I think it's just like there's a lot on the news. I probably need to stop. I haven't been actually watching that much, but the images that you see coming out of the war are pretty horrendous. And I think they just sit with you. Like, I've got 2 small kids, and you're seeing images of mums holding their babies or pulling them out of rubble. It's
sad, isn't it?
it's horrific.
Yeah, it really is.
You're very
and
open
then-
at the moment, obviously, because you're really taking that on, absorbing that. Yeah. And I understand too, as a parent with young kids
It
today.
affects you. But I think you were right too when you sort of said, I think we all have to put caps on it. It doesn't stop you then from rethinking about it too. But it's, sometimes with a lot of the news too, I just have to sort of turn away.
Me
And
too.
put the music on or
Yeah.
whatever. And then when you're in the right space to do it. But
And you're thinking kids. We were talking again, driving, like being mothers, we carry it. Women tend to, men do too also, but in a different way to the way we're very heart-centered. And, our minds are going constantly, but it drops down, and being heart-centered, you feel it, and it's hormones and everything comes into play. And today, as you said, and I love that announcement, today, I'm feeling emotional. I'm feeling it. It's just the way, I love that.
It is, and it's,
You know,
to have
it's
feelings
the
too.
truth.
When you do have the feelings, then you can turn that into a passion project. And so tell us about what are you up to with the...
We're going to deflect your thinking.
Yeah,
Well,
I just really
definitely,
want to know with the regenerative farming, because I think it started out from your feelings.
Yeah, yes, it did. I'm definitely a feeler, and I do have to be careful of like what I take in. I've learned that over the years. I guess.
Yeah.
I guess, and actually, Dad was talking to Dad before I got on this
Wow.
podcast, and
Wow,
I
that's
was crying.
amazing.
He's beautiful.
But he said, "How's your day going?" or something. And when someone,
Yes. No, I get that.
Yeah.
But it's lovely that you've got someone in your wings that you can
this is
share
just going to
things
end up
with.
being like a counselling podcast.
Yeah.
You girls.
And until
Well, guess what? I'm a trained counsellor.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
let's go in deep and say a classic question you've been asked before. How did it start? Like, I eat your food, I don't know, probably 4 nights a week, the Good Farm shop. I love the food, but tell us how it started.
Well, I was vegan for years and all during my 20s. And that was because I sat down one weekend and I watched a bunch of documentaries and saw all the negative impacts of farming done in industrialized kind of way to animals, I guess, as you do when you watch those documentaries. And immediately I just went, I can't contribute to that way of farming. I stopped eating meat. At the time, it probably coincided with an eating disorder. Being an actress, it was like I have had a constant love-hate relationship with my body. And so not only was it like, oh, great, well, I'm not contributing to that way of farming and impacting animals in that way, but it was also like I can mask an eating disorder under the guise of being vegan.
Right.
Cut forward to when I met Scott, my now husband, who's a big meat eater. But he's also a nutritionist, and his whole world is health and cooking. And he started to just ask questions about why I was a vegetarian and why I didn't eat meat. And I explained my reasons to him. And he had always sourced his meat from butchers that knew where their animals came from. And I, at the time, didn't know that there was such a thing as an ethical butcher. So anyway, I ended up eating meat again and understanding that there were butchers that had relationships with farmers or that sourced their meat not in this way. So that was my first sort of understanding. Oh, there are different ways of farming. Even though I grew up on the farm and I knew that our cows were in the paddock.
Yeah, healthy.
That's a whole separate thing. My mum started to turn the farm into Regen. So
Wow.
Can you
basically
explain
there's
also to our listeners
really
what is
basically,
regenerative farming?
So there's sort of 2 different types of farming. There's sort of industrialized and conventional farming, where farmers will use inputs to help grow the grass that feeds the cattle. Inputs by meaning like sort of chemical fertilizers. And then there's organic and biodynamic and regenerative farming, which is really about working with nature. So very, very little to no chemical inputs.
So really healthy soils.
Yeah, it's all about soil health.
Yeah.
When soil is healthy, it grows its own grass. It doesn't need chemical inputs. But when it constantly has chemicals put on it, the soil dies. The microorganisms in the soil don't function. They die. It dries out. And you need to keep feeding that soil with chemical inputs in order to grow the grass to feed the cattle. And climate change is a big thing that people talk about, and agriculture is, it can be a hindrance or it can be a help.
Absolutely.
And if we're farming regeneratively, the amazing thing about soil is that it sequesters carbon.
Which is,
pulls
I didn't
carbon
know.
out of the
I had no
atmosphere
idea
and
about
puts
that.
it into
Amazing.
the soil.
I thought it was trees. I didn't know soil did this.
How wonderful.
I've got this whole new relationship with soil, reading all about regenerative
and as
farming.
this way, because my first thing is,
Yeah.
it's, like, to me, it's obvious everyone should get your meat and just obviously having it that way than with chemicals. But can we afford it?
If you buy, there are so many farms right now that are doing like paddock to plate boxes to people's homes across Sydney, and it's 100% affordable.
Oh, I
It cuts
love
out
that. Isn't
all
that
of
good?
I love that.
And what a
Yeah.
great
Yeah, you
way
can-
of doing it too. That you
Yeah.
actually don't actually have to go
And
out
also
there
markets.
And
Also
and
farmers
you're
are going
supporting
to
the
market.
farmer. I would always say, if you can, go straight to the farmer. Go
And
down
tell
the
us
rabbit
about the
hole
Good
and
Farm
things
shop.
that-
Like, if
Yeah.
we go online, what can we buy? What can we see there? Like, tell us about.
So it started as a cow shed. That was literally how the Good Farm shop.
Really?
The
Yeah.
first product we had on our site was a 5 kilo or 10 kilo box of assorted meat cuts. We ended up plugging into 6 different regen farms across New South Wales, and ended up having beef, pork, chickens, duck, lamb, the whole shebang. And because we were getting whole animals, we were having to make ready meals. We're having to make meals from the leftover cuts because prime cuts fly out the door, but you're left with a lot of cuts. So Scott was, from a really early point, we were going, okay, well, we need to make meals with these excess cuts. And Scott's a great cook, so that made sense. And we were selling them at the markets. But then what happened was, I'm from the film world. I've never been in business. Scott is
Creative.
incredible in the kitchen, lives and breathes health, but neither of us are numbers people.
Right.
So
I love that.
pretty-
Love the honesty.
pretty dauntingly, about 18 months into it, we realized we weren't making any money. Because
Funny about that.
Someone got a calculator here.
And all of a sudden,
Yeah.
there's nothing in the bank but bills.
Like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And I really wasn't doing any acting anymore. And I was really loving this new kind of this business sort of entrepreneurship, which clearly very beginning, we were learning some hard lessons.
It's the best way to learn, though.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
And you're not
So,
alone that way too, Till. Most people start
No, I'm
out
sure.
and,
I know. I've
takes
listened
a
to
few
a lot
times.
of podcasts.
Yeah.
And the good thing is you started out.
Yeah, so we had a epiphany. Well, actually, we got a woman who was great with numbers to come
I was
on and
going to
look
say,
at
was
and
that
look
the
at everything.
epiphany? A
I've
bookkeeper.
got a bean counter in.
And that was her looking at the numbers going, okay, you guys are going to have to be selling a steak for this much money if you want to actually make this business work. And we were like, you can't ever ask someone to spend that much money on a steak. We knew that wasn't going to happen and that wasn't going to work. But where we knew we'd had really good feedback was at the markets with the meals. And we knew that we could make money from the meals. None of our meals have anything bad in them. They're high quality, organic, olive oil, no preservatives, nothing bad in
I'm
them.
getting a little bit hungry now.
Yeah. Where do you source the vegetables and?
From organic markets.
Brilliant.
From the organic
I've got to
markets.
say,
Okay.
Scott too is sort of known for My Kitchen Rules
He is.
too.
So he's what a great combination.
I know.
you are.
He's easy on the eye as well, isn't he?
Yes,
I mean, we've
yes.
got beautiful Till here,
I
and then what a
don't mind
combination.
the tattoo and the hair.
No, it's grown on me. It's grown on me. And I
love
fixed
that.
the hair.
It's grown on me. It's so good.
And now it's good. Now we're good.
Yeah.
Now we can actually survive. We're on
Yes.
our own 2 feet.
Very
we're-
challenging, very brave.
business is
brave.
charging a lot.
You're setting a great example
You
too
really
with soil
are.
health for the world. Or don't ever lose sight. You were talking before about the plight of the world at the moment. Never lose sight of what you're doing right now for the earth.
That's true. Yeah.
Well, we're only doing a small bit, but you,
small
you
bit to
can do
start.
your small bit.
But I need you to, today in particular, because the way you're feeling, I need you to sit back and say, me and Scott are setting a great example for our children. You really are. Honestly, regenerative farming is to get your children to get their hands dug into the soil Honestly, that's the greatest gift you can give them. I mean that. And now I'm going to lead you astray again, as I tend to do.
Going? Is it going to be a song?
Make me cry again.
Oh, this is a funny one.
I reckon there's a song in this. What is it?
I haven't had a song yet, have I?
Come on,
I'll
get a
find
gardening
one. I've been dying to ask. I ducked into a set which was in a house in Palm Beach when you were filming the Palm Beach movie.
Oh, yeah.
And I wanted to ask the question, I was dying to ask you, having a mother directing and a father acting alongside you, how difficult was that? I love that film.
Yeah,
We
it's a
loved
fun
it.
film.
It's in our hood, in our street.
It's not difficult. It's like way more fun than it is difficult. Mum and dad, we are very close. Our whole family is very close. And we have heaps of fun together.
Isn't
Whether
that
it's
wonderful. It doesn't matter what age you are. It's just it just continues on.
Yeah, like whether it's sitting around here having lunch together or
doing a movie.
I've worked with Dad for such a long time.
Yeah.
Our creative relationship has been going since I finished film school. Well, I acted in my first film with Mum when I was 15, so we already had that dynamic. I've already worked with her and known what it's like to be directed by her, and sometimes it's pretty brutal.
I imagine.
That's true.
Yeah.
I won't.
You can't answer back, can you?
You got the full film crew.
When you're a teenager, you always want to answer back. 15
No, we
to your
have
mum.
there's definitely been some heated discussions. I mean, I disagreed with her on such a big scene in that Palm Beach thing. I was just like, she just wouldn't do that. I just wouldn't. I don't believe that she would do this. And Mum was like, well, it's got to be dramatic, so she is going to.
I love a bit of that.
Oh, I love that. That is
real,
great. So have you got a favourite film of, I suppose, one of yourself, what you've been in and with your folks?
Probably the Shirley has been like just a long one that I've just loved. Well, growing up, I just watched it so many times with Dad. I was so jealous of his relationship with the little girl in it. I was really confused by
That's
it.
amazing.
That's so cute.
Because they
Wow.
really seemed like she was his daughter in this film, and I was young. He told me recently, because we watched it recently, and I told him how much I loved it, and he told me that when I was on there, it was really tricky to sort of because she got quite confused as well when we were there and we were the daughters.
Yes.
And so it was a funny kind of, because they'd formed quite a strong bond. And so it was challenging for her as well to suddenly, like, his real daughters are now on the set and hang on, she's the daughter, and very complicated.
We have to talk to how her father thought of it too. He might have been getting a bit jelly as well. And so tell us, who are your role models? Are they your parents, or who are your role models?
I've been asked this question a fair few times.
Nicola, it's a routine question.
No,
Guess the answer.
I'm only giving you a hug.
what a lame question. No, I find it hard to answer that question. Like, it's such a hard question to answer, but I guess I'm cheating a little bit, because I would say that, yes, I would say that they are my role models. They're just really good people. They're just good, like Dad is. I know that when, oh my God, I'm going to start crying.
I was about to say, she's going to cry.
Wait, I'm not.
Sad.
But I just want to say, I'm not usually like this. I can talk about my dad without crying, but today I'm having one of those days. So
Everything's on the surface. It's sitting there. And you're allowed to do that. We told you. We gave you
But I was going to
permission.
say that when my dad passes, hopefully not for a long time, he's very healthy and fit. I know that if there's ever, because I always call him if I'm like, I really don't know what to do about this situation. Like, he is the person that I'd probably call for. I call Mum for other things, but Dad, he's so rational and he's always fair. So he'll always have like a really, really kind of rational, helpful, not over dramatic response into how to deal with something. But it's like, and you probably have this with your own parents. You hear their voice in your head. I know what he'll say. I don't need to call him. I know what he'll say. And sometimes I can just go, I wonder what Dad would do in this situation. And I'll be like, oh, he'd do that. And that's what I do, because he's got such good judgment.
Does Scott ever crack a mention here?
That's beautiful. But
I reckon Scott would call my dad as well.
Oh, that's brilliant.
How good is that?
I don't think he would say.
That's
I don't think
divine.
that he would say that
Well,
that's
I thought
unfair.
he was a good bloke from the first time she put up that pic.
But isn't that
It
beautiful?
is,
I
it's
think that
beautiful.
he'd probably ring Dad too.
But
Is Scott's
Well,
parents
he doesn't
here?
have a dad anymore.
Oh,
He's
right.
He's
English.
too, isn't he?
He
Yeah.
lost his dad. He loves his dad, and he can't talk about his dad without crying. But he doesn't have his dad around anymore, so he's very lucky to have my dad, and they have a great relationship. And he could call my dad,
Yeah.
you know, in any time that he needed to.
We both
Or my
Nicola
mum.
and
I think I could call you Dad. That's just being
But
presumptuous,
we've been
but
very
he comes
blessed
across.
with our dads,
Yeah.
haven't
Yeah,
we?
we have, we don't have our parents anymore, Till and listeners, but we're at that, I suppose, age and stage when you do lose them, and a lot of our people, listeners too, are going to that really hard stage too when they're at their final stages, and gee, it's hard. There's a lot of love and it's hard and letting go, but the gift is when they are gone and you have
like you
got
said.
that beautiful relationship there. I feel happy, I really do, and I always think, I think Di and I are the same. I feel blessed that I've, had such a great
Beautiful
father
fathers.
and mother, really
yeah.
lovely that way too. But it's just that thing.
Yeah.
So I've got that inner strength, and sometimes if you're feeling flat or feeling low, I genuinely can just sort of draw on it,
Yeah.
and I think, wow, I'm really lucky. And not
Yeah.
everyone's had that, and sometimes you
No.
can get that from
We feel
somebody
blessed.
else. You
Yeah.
might get
Yeah.
that from a friend. So, sometimes it's not always that way from families, as we know they're complex and they're different. But it's lovely when you acknowledge also how lucky you are having a beautiful family.
I think so too.
I do have to say that I always somehow I comes up with dad, but mum I would call for different things. I don't want mum
Yes,
to
we have
feel
to.
like
We
it's
have
so
to
like-
give Mum a
Like,
little
what would
bit
you
of.
call your mum for?
Yeah.
Mum is really mum will she's up for anything. So if you
Oh,
want
I
to,
love
if
that.
if I call and I'm like, I'm having a really hard time with the kids, she's like, I'm coming, darling. I'll take them out and I'll take them, and she'll go and she'll spend all day out with the kids having the
Love
best time
that.
ever.
Oh.
Or she'll be the one to plan some great holiday, or she'll be the one who's had too many wines and is just pissing herself laughing.
Oh, I
and
love it. She's a real
and
doer,
normal.
isn't she?
She's
and a lot
she's
of
just
fun.
Yeah.
And she's fearless. Fearless.
Wow. She's an Earth sign, isn't she? A Virgo.
She's a Virgo.
Yeah, the Earth sign. That's interesting. They bought Country Farm. What's Dad? What's Darson's dad?
He's a Cancer.
Oh, and what are you,
home-loving.
Till?
I'm a Pisces.
Oh, near the water where you are
And what
right
about
now.
Scott? We have to get the full
Yes.
picture
He's
here.
Capricorn.
Oh, look, Day. Oh, here we go. We've got the whole star sign.
Yeah.
Now
What
tell
are
us
you
what.
two? What are you two?
I'm
Aries
Aries.
and
I'm
Capricorn.
fire. I'm double
Ah.
And I'm
Aries.
Earth. I've got to buy a farm and
Well,
be
there
a
you
regenerative
go.
farmer. I just think, it's
I
the
can
harder
see you there
road.
with a bit of hay in your mouth.
God, look,
and
she's got all these kids
your
going
boots on.
on. She's got, she's got the farm going on. She's got the beauty. Yeah, your life at the moment, you've got so much going on. It's
And
just
do you have
incredible,
what do you do for fun? Is it hanging
But
out
I'm
with
not
your kids
farming.
or
I'm
No,
not
Yeah,
farming.
what do
but
you
it's
know
your
that.
business. You're the calculator.
Yeah, what
aren't
do you do in your downtime,
Thank
Till?
God. I've still got that lady. She helps with everything. I can't do anything
My new
without
best
her.
friend.
So what do you do in your downtime?
I
is
don't have
there any
downtime.
time
No, she
left?
goes, what's that?
I know.
I don't have
sleep.
down- I honestly
sleep if you
don't.
can squeeze that in.
I didn't even sleep. Both kids are in my bed at the moment. I had terrible sleep last
How,
night. which is
how old are
probably-
they?
Probably why I'm so emotional. is that
Yeah.
Sleep helps.
They are 4 and 2.
Oh, you got
And
babies.
the only-
No wonder.
The reason why they're in my bed so much at the moment is because, well, we basically got to the point where they were in their beds and it was great. And then something happens and one suddenly decides they're going to sleep in your bed. And then the other one decides that they're going to sleep in your bed. And
Game
then
on.
somehow that happens a couple of times. And then it's like, they don't want to go in their bed anymore.
No,
And
no. You'll have to go in their
I
bed
don't
and
know.
leave
It
them
was
to
a-
it.
Scott usually
I reckon
has...
the couch is looking good.
I think so
Seriously.
too. Wow. And would you go back to LA? I know it was probably now
Oh,
it's out of the picture,
full
but
on.
that sort of time of your life when you were in LA and in young
No.
actress and those
No,
days of
I have fantastic memories of that chapter of my life. Like, I loved going back and forth and having that. Like, LA it's so much fun. It's completely daunting at the beginning when you're going over to try and be to be an
Yes.
actress over there and try and land a role.
Yeah.
But it really, 5 years of going back and forth and getting, my gripe with the industry is that you get so close to something and time again. And you get great little roles here and there, which I did. And I got to make things. I was writing and directing and, I got so close to landing big things in LA. And then at the last minute didn't. And
it's tough.
at 30, I came back. I'd written a show and I'd taken it over there and I shopped it around and a pretty big company was like, yeah, we want to make it. And like very, you know, going from my writing agent over there, like we're doing the deal, it's happening. And then I got on a plane, came back here because I came back for my dad's 70th, and it went away. You know, it didn't happen. Something happened. I don't know. I never knew. They never told me why. And I just went, I don't want to do this anymore.
But that's great.
Else,
I say great because you put all that energy into it.
Yep.
You couldn't have done anything more. It's like, right, that's not for me.
Yep.
Let's go down
and I wanted
path.
to be able to. The great thing about having a business is that you get to decide everything. You know, there's not, when you're in that industry, it's always at the whim of somebody else's decision about whether or not you get the role, or, you know, to get it financed, or it's, you know, at least with business, I'm a worker. I can work my ass off, and I will work my ass off. And at least in my own company, I can do that without anyone telling me, sorry, you can't.
Yeah.
And so I find that very freeing. And the idea of
that's great.
Going back to a world where I don't have that kind of control, or, you know, you put so much work and effort into it, and so much energy and so much love into something, and so much time into learning lines for an audition, and then like no one sees it,
and
no
bingo,
one says thank you.
then you come back, and I love what the thing is with podcasts. Then it was Scott who asked you to go on a podcast as well. Is that right? Too?
Yeah.
And when you
literally straight,
and
straight
then it all
after
sort
I
of
got back.
happened. Well, look, we've got a couple of our signature questions here, Till. And did you want to start off, Didi?
Why not? I'd love to hear this one. If you had a choice of anybody in the world, living or passed away, anybody to meet over the back fence, tell us who that would be and why.
I'd meet my dad's mum.
What did I say?
Oh, love that.
Wow, what was she like? How interesting.
I just know her through Dad, and Dad, again,
I'd imagine
Dad
so.
What's her name, Till?
Her name's Molly, which is my middle name.
Oh, there you go. Beautiful.
And apparently she was a really great woman. I mean, he didn't have a dad, so she was both of those to him, and they grew up in commission flats, and in, you know, she worked 3 jobs to put him through school, and she was apparently a great piano teacher, and Dad inherited none of her musical abilities.
Well, creative, put it down to creativity.
And she was firm but fair, you know, she was, and I often think, because I didn't know her, I knew his dad when he came back into Dad's life later on and tried to sort of have a relationship with us. And he was a really lovely man, but he wasn't a father to Dad. No. And I love my dad so much. I'm so intrigued as to who was the woman that made him who he was.
How beautiful.
And so I'd love to meet her. Well, I was 1 when she died.
Right,
so,
too young,
But how lovely also you've got her middle name. That's special.
Did you say Molly?
Yeah, Molly.
I love the name Molly. Oh, we look forward to meeting Molly over the back fence.
Yes. Matilda Molly, what a gorgeous name, by
Gorgeous.
the way.
All
It
of them.
really is.
All
Now, what advice would you, if you turn back the clock, would you give to your 20-year-old self, Till?
Oh, God, that's a really hard one, because I went through so much self-loathing when I was in my 20s, and like, I wish I probably would just give her a big hug.
You'll make me cry.
Yeah.
Gee, that's so beautiful.
I think I'd just give her a hug and say, you'll love yourself one day.
Oh.
So it's okay.
Well, I tell you what, we love
You're loving
you.
that, aren't you?
You know, and Sam, our producer,
Sam's
got tears too.
Sam's a life coach.
Yeah, she's
our
a life
producer.
coach. And she's
loving
actually...
it. You're teary.
Yeah,
oh, my
we all
God.
are.
This is the podcast of tears. All right,
Everyone
I've
wants
got
to maybe
sing
love
a
their
song.
hug their 20-year-old self.
Oh, my God.
Let's all give each other a little, let's see, self-hug. You know, with
seriously.
self-love, self-hug. So
that's a great
beautiful.
chat today,
It
really. It was such a beautiful chat, you know.
And you talk from the heart, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, and so vulnerable and open,
Yeah.
and that's what it's all about.
Well, thank you. Thanks for giving me a safe space to cry in.
Yeah. Oh, what a beautiful thing to say.
Yeah. Well, no, thank you
But that's
so
what we've all
much.
got to do with each other in our community is allow that space. You know?
And reach out and give somebody a hug,
Yeah.
or reach
Yeah.
out then and make a phone call, or go and sort of see somebody as well when we are feeling low. Because
Definitely.
you know, as we always say, you're not alone that way.
No way.
And what we always say, I think the best thing is connection. And sometimes if we can have that connection there, and
Don't
so
don't suffer at home
no,
alone.
no. So we
Pick
hope
up
to
the
be
phone.
sort of like that connection and bit of listening in your ears, but there's nothing like the real face-to-face one. But thank you so
And
much
Dad.
for coming on. And
Thanks,
You're
girls.
beautiful.
yeah,
You're beautiful.
And thank you, listeners, for listening in. And we'll be back in your ears next Monday.
We will be.
And don't forget to follow, rate, and review. And how many stars, Didi?
It's maximum 5. I'd go for 5,005.
5,005. There we go.
Aim high.
I think the extra
You know?
5 with
That's what
Jill.
they're all saying. Positivity. Why
We
not?
can multiply that by 5,005.
I'm definitely going to give you guys a 5. I can't believe I haven't even rated you yet. I'm off to do it right now.
Yes. We love you.
Thanks, everyone. Ciao, ciao. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Mwah.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Look after yourself today.